I'll just keep the corda lacey in the channel, if that's okay. Aye, ma'am. And it's a jetty, by the way. Of course. Jetty. I prefer a good jetty to appear any day. Jetty?
Something about the way she says it makes you want to sing.
Oh, jetty, oh, jetty. It's good to see you here, detectives. I only just arrived myself.
What brings you here, madame?
Nothing, really. I've had my eye on this jetty for weeks now, so I decided to investigate it personally. This cluster of buildings isn't on any of the official maps, as far as I can tell.
That. And she's also keeping an eye on you.
How do I like it?
Water drips down eaves of Eternite. The jetty below her feet creaks to the tune. The smell of salt and dog shit in the background.
It's pornographically poor. The street has no name, all the men are dead or missing. And is that the carcass of a motor carriage over there? I'm surprised that woman hasn't put me to the sword yet. Maybe she will. You should ask your questions while you can.
Dark eyes survey the coast leading up to Martinez. Dull grey metal rests in her scabbard. A sword. The wind is too loud for her to hear.
Fortunately for you, madame, the RCM is on the scene.
All right. Politics time. Let's react. Real men, real politics, real thoughts in your head.
Oh, I'm not frightened, officer. I'd never...
Above you, there forms a quilt of altocumulus clouds, twisting into each other. The wind tugs and stretches them over the bay. Their cloud shadows slide over the ruins of Revachol West. Wherever they pass, the temperature drops slightly, but perceptibly.
Do you know how they discovered this place? No, they're Insulindian, Isola. Well, your condition has left you no worse off than most of these people. The literacy rate is around 45% west of the river. 50 years of occupation have left these people in an oblivion of poverty. It's a pity. Most of these people will never know what this place means, this island of matter, or why they were ferried over in the first place. Remind me to tell you one day. For now, how can I assist you in this new location? Of course. I hear you have singled out a suspect and are in pursuit. This is cause for cautious optimism. How can I help you at this juncture? Oh? A takeover? If they're taking it...
Green livery, changing into red, blot by blot.
Then we're talking about a war. Everard needs to let me into the harbor at once. We need to talk about this. No. It's naive of me. He sent you. This is the negotiation now. And if he does not avert his course, it will be a war negotiation, detectives. They most certainly are not. Crenell has 1,000 men on their payroll. The next batch will be a platoon of 20 men and a gunship.
I've seen the Union's forces. They are better organized than these mercenaries. They also have the support of the people of Revachol West. It will take more than Crenell to wipe them out. Wild Pines will need to send more and better equipped men. Make no mistake, ma'am. I am sure you have the money. The question is, how many years and how many lives are you willing to sacrifice?
What do you suggest I do?
Maybe so, detective. But that doesn't mean we are not obliged to try and stop it.
He's right. There will be slow, simmering, hideous civil war. The beginnings of a failed state. No apocalyptic rapture. Just ugliness. What will I do? Did I ever tell you how they discovered this Isola? During our talks, It may be the only break we've ever caught as a species. The last one for 400 years. The nations who colonized this Isola called theirs Mundi, the world. It was all they knew, all they thought would be. That there would be something more was a gamble, akin to another world, or life after death. The Pale was thought to be impregnable, perpetual. Irene la Navigateur, the Queen of Suren, sent 8 expeditions, one after the other, into the mass at the edge of the world. 5 of the crews did not return. 2 did, but had lost their minds.
Each of those expeditions would have been led by an admiral. Sounds like a purge. Like she was purging her political rivals.
There was no precedent for such an undertaking. People thought she was punishing the admirals, or had gone mad, or both. Until after years of trial and error, and the development of a strict psychological regime imitating the creation process of poetry, the 8th expedition returned sane and intact. They told of a new continent of matter. They told the Queen and her counsellor, Dolores Day, that the Pale had begun to condense, day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, slowly raining down until it formed a vast ocean.
The air is cold and scented with petrichor. There are rain circles on water all around. Humidity crawls up your back like a piano trill. So does the lieutenant. His mouth is slightly open as he looks to the sky. The droplets feel warm, like spring rain.
The phenomenon has never again been encountered. For a time, the crew thought they were experiencing a hallucination. The mass hand proclaimed, "L'Insulinde, l'Insulinde," the signal to wake up. But they could not. They were sane and conscious, as islands began to appear on the horizon. There are 78,000 uninhabited islands in the Insulindian archipelago, officer. The freckled face of God. Après la vie, la mort. Après la mort, la vie encore. Après la mort, le gris. Après la gris, le monde encore.
After life, death. After death, life again. After the Isola, the Pale. After the Pale, Isola again.
On the second day, a great skua was shot down above the flagship Lysergique. The bird was preserved and brought back, along with pollen. 4 years later, the Queen's counsellor was proclaimed Her Innocence Dolores Day, the elected world spirit. The age of humanism, internationalism, and parliamentary rule followed. We were high. The first living, autonomous organism. Proof of reality. It's the symbol of Insulinde, detective. The coat of arms of the suzerain and the wings on the crest of the commune. On Caillou. The Pebble. The largest of the fertile, uninhabited islands of the northeast Insulindian archipelago. 4 centuries and 2 revolutions later. The nations of Mundi proceeded to discover 5 more Isolae. Or they discovered us. All in the rush of the great inter-Islary reconnection. But these others weren't uninhabited. We had to kill people there. Wipe out indigenous populations. Gunboat economies. Or they came to do the same for us, or had done to each other. But here, there was no one but the skua, the Liliat Sea, and the Blood Beach, and the River Esperance. It was the new world. The Mondials used it to amass the greatest concentration of wealth mankind has ever seen. Revachol, the suzerain, revolution, poverty, and the mercurial rise of capitalism. I will surrender Terminal B to the Union.
She puts her hand in the rain. She's silent for a second.
We will see.
Ma'am, this may well unravel property law this side of the river. If that occurs, we may never see the end of this kind of confrontation. The next time there will be 2 strikes, then 4, then 100.
What happens will happen. The age of capital has only begun. I will talk to my employers in person. We will amputate and cauterize Martinez, if you handle the situation on the ground. Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head start. I can't let it grow any bigger. And I've exhausted all my options from here.
There are no employers. She's a member of the board. Probably a partner.
You are the citizens' militia. There are no superiors.
That's right, Detective. And next time, you should confer with them before you go setting events in motion.
Despite his words, he's not really sure whether to be annoyed with you or not. Events are already in motion. Whether your actions accelerated or momentarily retarded their progress, even the lieutenant cannot really say.
Here I am. I am the face, and I'm here to answer. Rejoice Layton. Keep the peace, and I will keep my end of the bargain.
How far along is Cronell's investigation?
The confrontation is imminent. They have followed in your footsteps. As your investigation reaches a climax, so does theirs. They are your shadow. Arm yourselves. Armor yourselves. Protect their targets. Violence may be unavoidable, but we can limit the casualties. Soon. I do not know precisely. They have cut off all communication, you see. They know I've been feeding you information. One last thing, Lieutenant Dubois. I've given the matter much thought and come to this conclusion. You're not an amnesiac. You're insane. I know, because I, too, am insane. I just hide my illness better. And I'm rich. No, Detective. No one's as insane as you.
Don't worry, Madame. I am very sane.
I'm overexposed, baby. My travels take me through the Pale dozens of times a year. I've got the longing. And I've got it bad.
She would die to return to it. The Pale. The past. Anything one can return to.
The same strict psychological regimen the 8th Admiral developed when he crossed the Pale and discovered this Isola. The Volta do Mar. It's used by inter-Islary travelers and other troubled souls, even to this day.
You could use a little of it yourself.
Watch out for yourselves. They will strike soon.
The lieutenant watches her boat grow smaller on the bay, its white sails fluttering. With worry in his eyes, he does not know if it was the right thing to do, but he doesn't say anything. You wonder what Everard has to say about this. Slowly, the sails turn grey-blue as more oxygen gets between you.